What's up? It's Bench Racing, Volume 4. We're here hanging out with a whole new cast of people. We've been listening to Facebook and listening to Twitter and asking you, the fans, who you wanted to see on Bench Racing. So to my right, without further ado, I've got TQ Can-Am Midget star Mack Deman. Right beside Mack is the realest dude on the Oscar Modified Tour, fan favorite, the Aaron Express, Davey Terry. And of course, all the way over here is my faithful co-pilot, second time here on Bench Racing with us, NASCAR Canadian Tire Series car chief, Nick Gets Limited Late Model Program crew chief, all around wrench, jack of all trades type, Graham Annis. So we're here hanging out and we're talking a little bit off camera, and I thought that it was a good enough topic that we need to sit down and discuss Flamborough Speedway's Gold Rush 100, because it happened on Monday night, and it's all that anybody wants to talk about this week. Davey, I'll start off with you because you had a few opinions on how that show went. Just go ahead and give me your opinion, your rundown of Flamborough's Gold Rush 100 and what happened.
Well, it was messy. It was I was at the third Triple Crown race, which was 2 weeks ago, I guess, and it was a lot of the same. And there was a lot of people in the stands for that race, and I noticed there really wasn't a lot of people in the stands for the Gold Rush race. I don't know if it's because they saw that and they didn't want to come back and watch that style of racing, or it could have been the gate prices, because a lot of people been making noise about the gate prices at Flamborough in general, not just for the Gold Rush race. But good finish or bad finish, whoever your favorite driver is, and however way you look at that. I don't know. With Kenny Wallace being there, he had a good drive. He put a good drive together, even though getting caught up in a couple of wrecks. The fans that were there to see him, it was probably a good show. But I don't know, if you're a fan of Sean Chenoweth, you didn't think it was a good show, because he had some issues on the final closing laps there. But yeah.
Now, Mac, a lot of people were sort of chattering in the days afterwards about Chenoweth and whether they thought Zoe got robbed or not, with lap traffic sort of slowing down and running right alongside one another for position on whether it was 2 to go or on the last lap. And either way, Chenoweth didn't have a lot of room, didn't have a lot of moves to make. He made one, it turned out to be the wrong one. Does Paul House passing Chenoweth the way he did, winning the race under the circumstances that he wanted, does that make his victory any less momentous?
Not at all. I mean, he won the crown, and you can't take anything away from him on that win, because there's a lot of traffic in every form of racing, and it's the driver's responsibility to deal with it, and either move him out of the way or go around the outside. And I know Chenoweth didn't have many options. The guy was pushing all over the track, but you can't take anything away from House. You got to take advantage of every opportunity you get. I mean, you're out there racing, and lap drive's part of every race. And, I don't know, he earned it, I guess. I mean, he might not have gotten past Chenoweth in a straight line situation, but there's going to be a lot of traffic and 100 lap event.
Chenoweth mentioned in his post-race comment that he felt as though, he said, I'm verbatim, he said Flamborough needs to do something with the lap traffic or allow the leaders to move them or to wreck them. Do you agree with that? That if the track's not going to do something about the cars racing in front of you, that the leaders should be allowed to sort of take it into their own hands and physically move them out of the way?
Well, I don't know so much about late model racing. I don't know I know in my racing, if you're about to get lapped, the flag man moves you down and points to the bottom and says they're coming. I don't know if that's the flag man's responsibility in late model racing, or if it's up to their spotter. I mean, I know some guys, their radios broke, or their spotters, didn't have spotters in that Gold Rush race, and I don't know if it's the flag man's responsibility or not, but I wouldn't necessarily be getting mad at Flamborough Speedway as soon as I'd be getting mad at the other person's spotter for not telling them the leader's coming.
Graham, Flamborough's tight confines, it invites that style of racing. Messy, contact laden. You got to roll up your sleeves, and you're gonna have to. I mean, you're not gonna have your car leaving the speedway in the same way that it rolled off the trail. That's just Flamborough Speedway. If you go and race there, you know that's what you're getting, and some fans love that. I mean, that's the appeal of somewhere like Flamborough. Did the Gold Rush sort of meet expectations, or was that surprising, even considering what we come to expect from Flamborough?
To me, it's a bit of a surprise. Going back last year to Gold Rush, the race was fairly clean. Like, there was a couple wrecks, but it wasn't as bad as it was this year. This year, it's just a complete mess. I don't really know the exact reason why. I don't know if people are just being too pushy at the beginning of the race. But in the first 5 laps, there's like 5 cautions. Like, there's no need for that, especially being a 100-lap race. Like, there's just no need for that. It's hard to say exactly what's what there, but like, it's just short track race.
Now, Davey, it's easy to point a finger at Flamborough and say Flamborough should have done something about it, and you get the conspiracy theorists saying it has something to do with the fact that Chenoweth was racing for the extra $5,000 coming from the back. But in all reality, if the blue passing flag is out and the starter is urging the lap traffic to move to the inside and give the leaders the lane, and they just don't because they're racing for position or because they don't see the flag or their spotters aren't in their ears, what more could Flamborough possibly have done? And is some of the criticism being labeled at Flamborough a little unfair?
Well, I was watching the flagman while all that was going on, and he was waving the blue flag, but not a lot. He was just kind of, showing it to them every now and then. But I don't know, just to clean things up or help with that for a long distance race like that, you can always, I don't know, you can give them a warning or something like that, or even, I don't know, threaten to DQ them or take their position away or stop scoring them if they're going to be that bad at letting the leaders go by. What I saw is a lot of them, like down the straightaways, they were down at the bottom, but they would throw it into the corners so hard and wash up the track and take the line away from the leaders as they're going by, and that's what really was making it difficult.
Now, Davey raises a good point. Would it be unfair for Flamborough in that situation, or any track? I'm not picking on Flamborough. I'm not pointing a finger at Flamborough. Any speedway with an event like this, with this much on the line, and a 24-car field, you're going to get lap traffic. Would it be outside of the bounds of what Flamborough's allowed to do if they were to pull the scorecard of this lap traffic and score them at the very back, no points, no money, to penalize them for not yielding to the leaders?
I don't think you can penalize them unless you show them the blue flag. I mean, like 5 laps in a row, give them lots of warning that they're coming, and he still washed right up the track, especially because of an accident or anything like that. I mean, I saw it at the Gold Rush. Chenoweth threw it in the corner thinking the guy would hold it down, and he pushed right up in 1 and 2. And I don't know if you can penalize the driver by scoring him last, because I mean, you're out there ruining your equipment, and you didn't get black flagged, so you have no reason to leave the track. It's just your responsibility to stay down. So I can't see them taking away their positions that they've earned over the laps, but I don't know what you can do about it. I mean, you just have to maybe penalize them for a couple of weeks or something, or penalize the spotter, or I don't know.
Now, Graham, they started 24 cars, $5,000 to win. When I'm looking at car counts across the province, counts are down. Yep. I mean, when you're looking at Delaware Speedway, and I don't have the figures in front of me, a good night for Delaware is anywhere from 14 to 16 cars. Yep. Flamborough on some nights have been averaging between 12 and 14 cars. Pro late model racing in particular is hurting right now. So to get 24 cars, I mean, is that impressive? I'm sure if you were to ask someone from Flamborough Speedway, they would have sooner had 44 cars. But is 24 cars in this day and age for a $5,000 to win race a good count and something we could hope and expect to see in the future?
Yeah, I would say so, especially this day and age. You go back 5 years ago when basically every track had full late model division, you were getting upwards like 20, 25 cars just for a regular night, and upwards of 35, 40 for a special like the Gold Rush. But like on Fourth of being shut down, and like a lot of cars came from Fourth for these big specials, and a lot of guys are just not getting out as much as they used to. And it could be trimming for the cost or the fact that they just don't want to race anymore. But I think 24-car field for full late model division is probably all you're going to see really.
Now, Davey, you race almost every week for a sanctioning body. Obviously, Oscar doesn't have a whole lot to do with the pro late model scene. It's very tempting to make the All-Star comparisons and say, well, if All-Star was still around, is a sanctioning body needed for some of these bigger races to try to ensure that we get the car count that speedways would like to have for a $5,000 or $10,000 to win show?
It would help if they had like a general set of rules which everyone could abide by, because that's a lot of the problem. Some of the tracks fight against each other as far as rules are concerned. A good example of having a good rule program is like the ACT late models at Fourth. That like they do a good job of making sure everyone is right where they need to be as far as rules are concerned, and just that itself would probably help a lot.
Now, Matt, you race under a sanctioning body or a club rules, and what are some of the positives that the DQ Canada Midgets are able to do as a club to sort of keep drivers coming back and keep the masses happy?
I mean, our last place prize money for bringing out your car and doing a lap and feature is enough to pay for a regular tire. So I mean, that's all you need to really be out there and be competitive. I mean, you can move your other tires around, buy one here and there, but I mean, our payouts are good. As a club, I mean, we all help each other out. It's not like some people might be shy away from going to a track because they don't get along with people or they sit in their pit the whole time. But I mean, our club's pretty tight knit. We've been together. Our cars are so unique. There's not people just popping in and popping out. We see the same people every weekend. So that's sort of what keeps some people coming back. It's just for the love of racing. But as a club, I think we got some good rules in place with our motor and everything. Cheap motors now, not $4,000 motors, they're more like $1,000. And that's for sure got our car count up, like getting 24 cars at Sunset the other week. That was great, good to see, and hopefully they enjoyed it and I'll come out to Grand Win this weekend.
So big shows are still able to draw a decent number of cars that we're happy, they're able to fill a field. Weekly racing is on the decline. If you look at clubs like the Can-Am Midgets, their roster very strong. Car counts are really good. Oscar super late models, again, full fields at most tracks. I know when you get your fringe speedways like Sauble doesn't draw as well. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, again, rest in peace, is no longer around, but it didn't draw as well. But your core group of speedways are still drawing, a decent number of cars. So I have to ask, is touring racing eventually going to lead to the overall downfall of weekly racing in Ontario?
It really depends on the track. Like, you get your tracks like Sunset that they have pretty strong car counts for what they have, and they get the big names out too. Like people go there and they'll cheer for a driver faithfully, and like I've sat in the bleachers, I've heard the yelling and screaming. I know who the fan favorites are and who aren't the fan favorites, but you'll get that kind of like Bowman Gray Stadium type atmosphere at these local tracks every week, and a lot of people really like that. But then there's some tracks on the other hand that don't really have that going for them. They don't have the big names anymore, and touring series are going to take away from those particular tracks, and not so much the ones that have the big names. But people like coming out and watching the touring series is because it's different. It's a new set of drivers, different looking cars than what they're used to, especially for the fans that they're not really full out race fans. They just come to the track just for entertainment purposes. And those type of fans are the ones that are going to start drawing towards the touring series.
Now, you tour across the province all summer long. If something were to happen where a speedway was offering your type of car, if you could go and race a TQ Midget weekly at one speedway, as opposed to touring across the province, would you take them up on their offer? Would you go and race at a one speedway every week, or would you prefer to sort of still go the touring route? I mean, obviously it's going to be more gas money, it's more time away from the shop, but would you prefer to do the tour?
I mean, our club's been around for like 47 years or something, and I don't think we'll be changing up anytime soon. Yeah, our cars are part of the setup of the car is going to the new tracks and fighting the setup, and whoever's the best driver and setup combination gets the win for that night, and that's always been a big part of our club. And I mean, if we pick one track, we got 20 cars, that might only appeal to 10 cars. Some people's cars handle in better places than others, and some people live further away. I mean, some guys drive up from New York, so every race was out of Peterborough, let's say. A lot of guys out from London, and that way they wouldn't even bother coming, maybe half the shows of the year. So to have it traveling and say have half the shows close to home and half the shows far away, it's a good change, and it's nice to go to new tracks and meet the new fans, and they only get to see you maybe twice a year, so they actually look forward to it, and you get good crowds with the traveling series. I mean, if we were at the same track every week, we would become the usual show, and we wouldn't be the show anymore. We just, I mean, the fan count might start high, but it would just decline over time because we wouldn't be anything special. Whereas going to a track 2 or 3 times a year still draws the crowds, and we like big crowds.
So what you're saying is you feel as though touring across the province and being a somewhat of a fringe attraction, you're only going to certain speedways once or twice a year, if you were to take that element away, do you feel as though your product would become somewhat stale or stagnant for the fan base?
Yeah, almost like if the super lates were at the same track every week, it would become just like the same thing every week, right? But traveling, I think, is a really good thing. I don't know if the traveling series will fully take over week-to-week racing like it looks like it's going to do, but I mean, I don't know how the weekly schedule is going to keep up with all these new touring series. I mean, Oscar popping up 2 years ago, Mods makes another touring series, and I mean the Legends, there's us.
Hurricane Midgets, OSS, yeah, absolutely.
There might be like a limited late model touring series eventually.
So you know the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series intimately. You've spent the summer on tour with Team 3 Red, with Jason Hathaway, and that's a tour that crisscrosses not only the province, but it crisscrosses the entire country. Road courses, city circuits, speedways, you got your bull rings. Is it a true test of skill for a driver to run on a tour and crisscross across the country and step out of his comfort zone and still be able to run well, as opposed to a driver that stays at one speedway, hones his skills, and racks up a championship that way?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Touring around does make you a better driver because you get acclimated with all these different kinds of tracks, and you develop your skill. Every time you're on a different track, you're just getting better. Like, you're improving yourself, you're improving yourself. Like, everything about you, what you're doing is getting better. For guys that just stay at one track, to me that's not really my thing. Just because it gets kind of boring after a while, just staying at one place time after time. Like, if I was born in Victory Lane, that same track every week, like, me, the fans would get boring with that. Like, look at some fans at Sunset now, you got guys that run on a weekly basis, and like, they boom now because they've been too much. Like, you need to be out there touring.
Are there too many different divisions, touring series, and options for drivers in Ontario for the amount of money that there is to go around and the number of drivers there are to go around? Are there just too many options right now?
Yes and no. There's a wide variety right now, and so everyone can pick and choose exactly what they want to race and where they want to race, but there's absolutely no room for anyone. Even the F4 modifieds, they kind of broke away from Flamborough and split up. That really did not need to happen because you don't need two separate touring series with only 10 cars or 8 cars. It's just a poor show is what it is, especially if they're running those 6 cars in Flamborough every week. But no, besides that, it's probably just about right now. Any more would just be too much.
I keep going back to the touring faction, the club that you run with, and you get to go across the province. You've seen the good and the bad of different speedways. You've seen great fan counts. You've seen, I'm sure, empty stadiums or empty bleachers, where I'm sure that we would sooner see asses and seats there. What's some of the good things that speedways are doing right now to sort of promote your show, bill your club, and fill seats? And if you could maybe choose one thing that speedways could improve on.
I would say the Speedway is getting involved with social media and Facebook and everything. You see Grand Bend Speedway updating and posting their article instead of it just being on the cover page of their website. Now they've got whatever 1,000 people seeing it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and promoting the traveling series, and I think that helps gets a lot of fans. I mean, you hear radio commercials and stuff for tracks, but that's not quite the same as seeing it in person. One thing they could improve on, I mean, some tracks facilities are really nice. Like Sunset's a really nice place to go. It's very family oriented, and I think it might even be like a little bit handicap accessible.
It is.
And that's a big thing. I mean, people don't want to come and sit on a plank of wood necessarily in a grandstand that you would see at a high school. I mean, or eat food out of a shack that's like 20 years old. I mean, it has a lot to do with the facility and the washrooms and stuff like that get people to come back every week. So there's things that they can improve on, but there's also things that they're doing right.
Graham, what are promoters doing right now? Because it's trendy to hop on Facebook or hop on a message board and slag the promoters that are out there trying to make a living. It's a small business at the end of the day. Speedways, no one's balling out of control here, just making money hand over fist these speedways. It's a struggling industry. It's a small business. What are promoters doing right now?
Just keep the fans involved in it. Like, you see Sunset, Peterwood, they have like an autograph session. Seems like every other week. that keeps the fans coming back. When they get a chance to talk to their drivers, even the social media, like even drivers themselves having like on Twitter or Facebook, like that's another way for the fans to stay connected. In racing, fans are the biggest thing in racing. Like, there's no fans, there's no racing. Like it's just you gotta keep your name out there, keep it out there. And like, you look at Sunset, they're probably like top guys are doing that right now. Just what they're doing with like Mark Daly, he's promoting, putting a good show there. Some tracks just can't keep up with them.
Now, what can drivers do to help? Because obviously, you work with your promoter, you fill the grandstands, your sponsors are happier. Not only are you going to re-up their sponsorship for the next season, but you're going to attract more corporations or small businesses to advertise with you. It's a win-win. What can drivers do to sort of get in on this and help this whole industry move along just a touch?
The easiest thing they can do is somehow use their sponsorship, work with their sponsorship and the particular sponsors that they have to draw people out. Like I know what we do with Wasteco is like we bring the car out to a lot of events at the locations and stuff like that. And like even last year at the Velocity, we invited all the employees from all locations to come out, and they paid the tab and everything like that. And that got people out, got people excited in the car, and some you'd be surprised how many actually came back to the track. Even if one thing that would be kind of cool is if tracks had an area set aside where some tracks already do this. I know Delaware does, where you could rent or have a function while the racing is going on, because the racing is just a cool background to have for a function instead of like some cheesy Elvis impersonator up on stage or something like that. And it gets people, they come out, they have some drinks, they watch some racing, and then the next following weekend or whatever, when they have nothing to do, they think, let's go back to the track. That was kind of fun last weekend.
I mean, ultimately, they're there to see a show, right? And the autograph sessions help a lot, and the drivers getting involved and letting the kids sit in their cars and whatnot. I remember going to Sunset for bicycle races. Every week I'd be like, Dad, we're going Saturday bicycle race, like, let's go, lube it up. Like, I mean, it's got a lot to do with the fans getting involved with the drivers and actually making it an event and something to go to on a Saturday night.
How important is that connection for a driver to have with his or her sponsors?
Oh, I mean, you got to keep in touch with your sponsors. You got to keep them updated, and that's what keeps them coming back. I mean, if they give you money at the beginning of the year and they don't hear from you until the end of the year, they're probably not going to want to get involved in it. I mean, like we have Lucas. Luckily, we've had him for many years, and we gladly take the car out to car shows and even just events that they're hosting. They contact us, and it's no problem. Pretty much, you want to do anything that your sponsor asks. I mean, because they keep your racing program going. I mean, it'd be a lot harder, and we probably wouldn't make as many shows as we do without our sponsors.
Nothing bugs me more than people that just slap a sticker on the side of their car and drive on. Like, you have to keep them happy. You have to work with them. Not only are they helping you, but you also have to help them. It's actually a two-way street is what it is. And I know, like myself and both like Kevin Albers, we work with Wasteco and we do what we can to help in return, and with a variety of different things. But yeah, the guys to just go door to door ask for stickers, that's just not the way to do it this day and age.
Well, that's like when you look at guys like Gary Elliott, who's at Quaker State for 40 years. I mean, Gary Elliott had Quaker State when Ronald Reagan was president.
Yeah.
Like when you look at it that way, it's like, my God, you've been sponsored by one company for a long time, and when you see what Gary does, the connection he has with the sponsors and all the car shows that he goes to, that's marketing 101. When you look, like young drivers that are watching this, if you're go-karting or doing mini stock and you want to move up, that's how you do it. I mean, it's a lot of work, but in the end, it's going to pay off, is it not?
Canadian Motorsports Expo. There's a bunch of cars I've never seen before, and it's a great place to get an inexpensive booth and either promote your club or promote your car and your sponsors.
Yeah, Gary's probably the best person around right now who takes care of his sponsors, and he does the best job of self-promoting, promoting the guys that give him money to race every weekend, and he gives back. Like he's even got the book out now with like the history of his career and stuff like that.
The Gary Elliott souvenir program. Yeah.
Like that is cool. Like you got to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
He had a quarter of the pits taken up with his set it by
Yep.
the goal.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we're going to shift gears a little bit here. I'm going to get you back in the game because you haven't said anything in a while. We'd Stomp and Tom Walters on Volume 3 of Bench Racing, and we're doing that again, by the way. If you're watching this video, if you enjoyed Dwayne Baker and Tom Walters, we're doing another shoot with them at the Autumn Coast Classic in about a month. That's coming up. I didn't get to cover his induction into the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to lead with that the next time I set them down, but to have an active duty driver, still racing full time, who's a full-fledged member of the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame. I mean, in our lifetime, are we going to see that happen again?
I really don't think so. Like, Tom, he's the best. Like, the guy's got 30 championships, on the verge of possibly getting his 31st championship. Like, you can't deny the guy's talent. Like, no, love him or hate him, the guy can drive. Like, he brings fans to the stand. He helps fill the stands at Sunset. And like, I don't think we will see another guy, at least right now, that has that kind of credentials to actually go into the Motorsports Hall of Fame.
And be still running.
Yeah, and still be running. Like, he'll be racing like when he's probably like 70.
He's getting pretty close to 70 as it is.
He's probably like 80 then. So like, you can't deny him. Like, he deserves it.
Now, I realize that the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame is all encompassing, and we have to, they take a look at thousands of applications every year from, boat racing, snowmobile racing, karting, motorcycles. I'm sure there's a million other categories that I can't even begin to list off. But do you feel as though, I'm going to ask both of you the same question, do you feel as though the Motorsports Hall of Fame does not pay enough attention to short track racing?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really don't know what their thought process is and how they go about looking into the applications, and I'm not sure who they have that kind of organizes all that stuff. But yeah, they definitely could. One thing that I find with them though is they don't look outside of Ontario very often, and I know like we can be biased because we're in Ontario. We follow all the short track racing around here. But there could be another Tom Walters in Alberta. There could be one in Saskatchewan that we don't know about, just because the Motorsports Hall or the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame is in Milton. And but I don't know. I don't know if they have the funding to have somebody go out and look at all these drivers and stuff like that. But
yeah, and I guess all that they'll look through is all the requests and applications, right? I don't think they go out and see who's doing what on social media and know what's going on in the racing world. I think they get the application, they look into it, they look at his history, championships, this or that, how many years he's been in it. But we don't have that many guys in Ontario short track racing that, well, in our racing, that have been in it for that long and have been that dominant. Because, I mean, back in the day, everything wasn't quite as spec as it's becoming, and it's making the racing a lot better. I know Sunset, you guys have had quite a few different feature winners.
We're up there with the six winners now? 6 or 7? Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's same with us too. I mean, everything. Like, we used to have different motor rules and stuff, and now it's all even. The racing is really improved.
So, what I want to know is, as a pair of active duty drivers, is knowing that someone like Stomp and Tom Walters could eventually rise to being inducted into a National Hall of Fame. Is that enough to help you get out of bed in the morning on Saturday when it's time to go to the track, or Tuesday night when you got to go to the shop and put in 6 hours of work after your 9 to 5? Is knowing that one day, maybe, if you work hard enough and win enough races, you can get to the Hall of Fame like Stomp and Tom Walters did. Is that enough to sort of keep you going?
well,
Can't say you wouldn't love to be that.
I know.
It's all thing.
yes and no, but like times now are different. Like, let's compare it to Richard Petty. He's got 200 wins. A lot of them weren't recent. And same thing with Tom. Like, a lot of his championships weren't recent. And there's so much competition these days, and like there's car builders galore. There's everyone's in good equipment, and all these young
rule package.
yes, and all these young drivers are nipping at their heels. I really can't see anybody reaching that feat anytime soon. I really can't.
You have to go down to the States and maybe find some racing deal down there to really get the recognition these days. And then you have to win a lot of races too.
Without
That's
question.
the hard part. And it takes years and years and years and years and years and years. And 30 championships, I didn't even know that. I'm only 21 years old.
It's a big number. 30 is a big number.
Yeah.
But Davey brought up a great point about how many good young drivers are out now. I mean, there's a lot of talent. Even if you were to thin the herd to drivers under the age of 30, there's a plethora of talent across every different platform, every different car, division, area code. I mean, there's a lot of good young drivers. The question is, and I know it's a hard question to ask, and if you want to take 7 seconds, we'll just deal with silence for 7 seconds if you have to. One good young driver right now. Let's hop in the hot tub time machine and go 40 years into the future. One driver right now, if the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame were to decide to induct another short track driver, who would it be?
I would say Lane Sordo. Kid's got an extreme amount of talent. Like, even just watching, like, for the past 4 years, he's been racing Superstock. Every week he's getting better and better and better. He's been racing since he was like 8, 7. I think he'll be one to watch.
Now I know that you sort of accept, you're like, oh wow, but you're going second, so you had that minute and 13 second long answer.
I think it was that one.
You had more time to think than Graham did. I mean, I know that you're on the modified tour. There's a lot of good drivers there. You know, you go around the province more than I get to. If you could pick one good young driver under the age of 30, they could one day. I mean, it's a slim chance the Motorsports Hall of Fame is going to let another short track driver in. Let's just be completely honest. One good young driver under the age of 30, who would it be?
I'm going to go with Fitzpatrick, just because he reached the top of Canadian motorsport stardom at such an early age, and youngest champion in the Canadian Tire Series. So he's already been to the top as far as Canadian motorsports is concerned, and now he'll drive anything, and he can win in anything. And what is he, 24, 23,
I think.
and he's just going to keep winning. So
He's only going to get better.
and he's only going to get better. So that'd be my pick.
Jeez,
You could put an open wheel spin on it. Doesn't have to be racing with fenders.
You could say me, it's okay.
You could say, I mean, Davey
I
would,
say Davey.
he probably would give you some sort of waistcoat prize package if you chose him.
But I don't know. It's a tough one. He took Lane. I mean, I grew up karting with Lane, and he's doing really good right now. I don't know. There's guys like Corey Mosker that I race with that are we're race car drivers. We've been doing it since we were 7. I mean, that's what we do. We work on the cars during the week, and I know he came up through the truck racing, and now he's in the midgets, and we've been there. We were rookies of the same year, and we've both just been improving, and now we're both 2 top powerhouses in the club. And I mean, he's got a championship coming his way if he keeps up his work. I mean, they keep their car in tip-top shape, and they come to race every week. And I mean, it's a long ways away, but we've all got a long racing career ahead of us.
There you go. We're running. We're just about where I wanted to be with this segment. Got some good content. I'm going to go around one more time. If there's anything, I mean, Graham, anything you want to add? You got the eyeballs of a lot of race fans right now. I mean, there's a lot going on in racing. Anything you want to add at all? Anything you think we should watch for through the rest of the year?
I think this kind of go back on the young guns topic. Dale Shaw. Kid's just stuttering. I know he hasn't achieved victory lane yet, but as soon as he does, it'll be hard to keep him out of it. Like, right now, he's probably more known for his flight off the backstretch wall at Flamborough, but like week in and week out, he's like top 3, top getter. They finished second at the BT Heat 150
with a monster move on the outside. If you haven't seen the video, YouTube it. It's phenomenal.
I think he's going to be a guy you're going to have to watch out for the next year or so, getting in victory lane. And like I said, once he gets in victory lane, it's going to be hard to keep him out.
I think Dale is in a bit of a sophomore slump right now, and I think that if he gets 1 win this year, he'll get 4.
Yeah.
I think he's not averse to touring. He'll go out on the road. He already said he's going to do the Autumn Colors Classic for the first time this year. He did the Beat the Heat and ran really well. It's tough following up the type of rookie campaign that he had. I think you're absolutely right. If he were to get out of that sophomore slump, he's got some good things headed his way. Davey, what do we got to look forward to this year?
Well, I don't know. The velocity.
Are you going to see you in victory lane?
Huge. Hopefully. Funny you say that. I want to win the Memorial more than anything. Like, Varney Speedway, September 14th and 15th. That is the race to look forward to this year. I'll put velocity in second for that one, but
I'll be there for both, so it's all right.
best modified drivers in the province. Modified drivers, semi-retired, coming out of the weeds just for one night, or 2 nights actually. Time trial qualifying, plus heat races, plus a 20-lap feature on the Saturday, and then the 50-lap feature on the Sunday. This race is everything to anyone who is a longtime Varney Speedway spectator, anything to the drivers that race there, anybody who raced against Rick. Like, even just seeing like the raw emotion of some of the drivers, like even Gary when somebody ran into him last year on the last.
Who was that ran into Gary McLean on the last lap last year?
It was some green car.
He had a good-looking car.
Yeah. Some
14?
Green, yeah.
That was him.
Was that you, Dave?
Yeah, that was me.
Should be there.
But
His brakes exploded. They exploded.
General
They
Motors.
didn't fall off, they
Gone.
didn't fail,
Completely
they
gone.
exploded. Have you seen Dante's Peak? It's like that, with brakes.
Should be doing his maintenance then.
Carry on, don't let Graham rattle you.
anyways, no, like,
Exploded.
gone, totally gone.
Maintenance.
But yeah, the racing that the modifieds put on at Varney is second to none. You wouldn't think 24, 26 cars can run 50 laps with so little contact and not very many cautions, but we do it, and it's phenomenal racing. I'm real excited because you're going to be there announcing this year.
I can't wait.
And just the money up for grabs. It's the richest race in modified history from what I understand this year. And honestly, like I'm not even being biased. It's going to be the race to watch this year.
I know there's a lot of races still to go in the TQ ranks. I'll let you have the final word on this one, Mac. What do we got to look forward to through the back half of the back half of 2013?
Not only are our Canada midget points battle, the top 4 of us are all like within 30 points or something, and we're all fast. And there's only 4 races left, and you can count on one of them getting rained out in September. You never know what's going to happen. So I look forward to that. But we also have like 4 rookies that are like 16 years old, and when I was 16 years old, like all the guys on the club were like 25, and now I feel like the old guy. I mean, you got all these young kids out there, like they're driving fast. I mean, Adam Racine got 3rd place in Solo the other weekend, and their rookie battle is really heating up. I mean, 4 races to go. It's definitely something to add to your resume.
So there you go. Short track fans, get enough time. You can go see Dale Schott Flamborough or see him at the Autumn Colors Classic. Go to the Rick Woolen Memorial. It's going to be a phenomenal show. Get a Varney burger while you're there. Best short track food anywhere in Ontario. And make sure to go out to one of these Canada midget races. If you haven't seen them this year, they're phenomenal. I mean, the type of side-by-side race you're going to see, second to none. Twitter handle.
At GPA Racing 77.
At Davey Terry.
At Mack Deman.
There you go. So I think this is actually the first panel I've had where we've all had Twitter. That's a big moment for social media. So there you go. For Bench Racing Volume 4, Graham Ennis, Davey Terry, Mack Deman, Spencer Lewis, thank you so much for viewing. We'll see you in Volume 5.